Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the T.O.A podcast. I am your host, the Onvermel, I was going to say Turple. I went to say the Purple, not just Turple. I am Turple. The Purple. I did that. Oh gosh, I've been doing that so much lately. But no, I am your host, Onvermel. This is the Onvermel Report. Welcome back again to all those listening. And once again, it's that week where I am joined by Ek and even Ek Self-Mox here too. Special occasion.
There's lots of Ek around.
There's a lot of Ek around. I mean, not really a special occasion, but there's an appropriate occasion to have his Self-Mock around. Why, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Because his Self-Mock is a Bionicle Blacktron.
Well, of course. What else would it be?
I mean, if anyone knows Ek, that should have just been obvious, like, from the get-go. I mean, anyone who knows me should know that my Self-Mock is purple. Thank you. Thank you. Because, I explained in another video that the Self-Mocks and the mocks I use as for the podcast videos aren't always one and the same.
They're like this third generation.
The ones on the podcast are third generation because you have like the original ones were basically ones where we had T.O.A to represent ourselves, and then after that you were like, I don't want to use Hinatu as my Self-Mock. I'm going to make an actual Bionicle Self-Mock.
The T.O.A Hinatu wasn't just proper.
He was a placeholder. Basically, because I was on Onvermel, it was like the appropriate, because when I started the blog before the channel, Hinatu fit the bill very well. It was the T.O.A Brothers of Alberta. I was the Onvermel report. It was Onvermel, so obviously you would go for Hinatu. And for that, it worked fine. But once you went to BZ Power...
Even on BZ Power, I was briefly T.O.A Hinatu there.
Actually, a little while.
Then I changed my name to, like it is everywhere else, Elephant Knight.
Which eventually I said Ek one time, I think, as a, just as like spitting the jokes and all that, and we were just like, you know what, this actually sounds pretty decent.
Well, Elephant Knight, I would sometimes just end my post with just an EK.
But it's like usually
because EK is that you would just say EK. You wouldn't say Elephant Knight because that's a mouthful.
It's like EK sounded normal for like minifigs and such, but for a Bionicle, Ek had a bit more of a nice flow to it. But more importantly, though, is that he's based on a space Lego theme.
Blacktron, specifically.
Blacktron 2, specifically.
Yes, very specific.
Or Blacktron the Next Generation.
Even more specifically, a Blacktron minifig, almost.
Yeah, he's not the set colors, per se. He's got a bit more white than that. But last week in the podcast, we mentioned briefly about Bionicles that were based on the Lego space different themes. And so, we have a few of them here today to kind of, just look at, get the mood in, and explain. I don't know if I have pictures of all of them, so I'll put as many on the screen as I can, but I don't feel like digging them all out to take pictures of all of them, so it's a conversation, not a showcase. It's different. One of these days, I'm going to showcase mocks on the channel, eventually, one day.
I mean, yes, we'll talk about these mocks, but we're not showing them off and going into great detail.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what the first one I did was, because I think
it was M-Tron?
It was either M-Tron or Stalker, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the first
No, actually, technically the first one was Rocco.
Yeah, because Rock Raiders is space!
Shall we? Rock Raiders, more than meets the eye. Rock Raiders, space theme in disguise.
Thanks,
Finally, I got that on a podcast. I don't know how well it's going to be heard, but I'm going to do that forever. But yes, Rock Raiders, in my opinion, and I think many other people's opinion, is a proper space theme. Not a conventional space theme, but it is a space theme. Because
it has a spaceship, not any sets, but it did have a spaceship. And if you look at some of those
they're very futuristic, and you look at the story, they're out in space in a different galaxy. It's a space theme. So the first one I made, I had a few turquoise parts. I'm like, I want to make a Rock Raider Bionicle. And so I made Rocco, which I guarantee you there'll be pictures of him on screen. And, his theme didn't inspire him much, but just because Rock Raiders have so many colors, I'm like, if he looks messy of a build, that's fine. Which eventually I was like, no, the whole point of his build was it'll be cluttered and messy. That was the point of his build, which went to his character of being a Gotorian who's a junk collector. After the whole battle of the giant robots and all the Roxy armors left everywhere, he just started going ham collecting everything he could find. That was like the secondary story, but...
Most of our space bundles serve a very specific purpose in our world. Mostly yours. Mine kind of just...
Tag along.
Yeah, did it too, I guess.
I think yours is basically like a sub-branch.
I wanted to make space Bionicles too, and I just needed to
An excuse.
An excuse like to throw them in my cannon. Like, yep, yeah, they're just whatever.
I mean, let's be honest. A lot of your canon is just basically an extension, like an offshoot of mine, but most of it still works in conjunction.
Yeah.
But no, Rocco was the first one, and as a theme of rockers, I just really liked. But like I said, I didn't really care that if he was going to be messy or not because rockers, the sets were kind of messy and blocky, and kind of colors were all over the place. Which then was followed up by Mtron, which Mtron is my favorite space theme, and it's one like
as much as Blacktron.
It's pretty much the most iconic theme, space theme for Paul or Onvermel. Who's Paul? I don't know who this Paul is, but Mtron was very, very much my space theme. I have all the sets. I was the first one with I technically wasn't the first one with an Mtron, but I was the first one with the complete Mtron fig, I think. And I was the first one to actually get into Mtrons. I was the first one to have really any Mtron sets. And I shall forever have the most Mtron. And it's become synonymous with me amongst the other fellow T.O.A brothers. So, Mtron, the only thing I was trying to do with him is just make him look good. Make him look important and just like, this guy's top dog. Which I think it captured pretty well. The funny thing is, though, I updated him later to have like the sticker on his torso and just film out. But his older version of him was actually was featured on BZ Power. And I remember looking back at that now and was like, ooh, I don't like it. Because there's certain things about his earlier version I don't like. So I touched him later. And he's really good. And again, the theme didn't inspire him too much, but more so my association. Because honestly, if I were to go something for more proper Mtron, I have a guy probably with like magnets.
You really need some magnets.
What I kind of want to do is add a magnet to his back and have him like a kind of a pouch or like a carry container on his back or something like that.
A magnet on his weapon. Clink.
Oh, magnets. Yeah, why haven't I done magnet storage for his weapon? That's brilliant. You're
welcome.
I'll find a use to get magnets on him somehow. Watch me. So,
or don't watch him because that's creepy.
I was also really happy to be able to use the Gen 2 mask that was red and trans neon green. Actually, I think that was the reason why I made him.
That was probably what kicked it off.
Because I was like, okay, I have these different trans masks, and I had planned to do RoboForce guys way before this, but I was like, I have this mask that's literally an Mtron color. I've already made a Rock Raider color, dude. Let's make an Mtron. And then after that, I kind of just planned to make one of every color of theme. So, let's just do this chronologically in years that these themes came out, shall we? Classic Space. Now, you both have Classic Space.
Yes.
Now, I would say ours are a little bit different because all I did was make this tiny little Turaga, very simple model, and he was just the old Turaga. I mean, and his staff does have like a very miniature Classic Space ship on it. And the joke with him is because he's the oldest space theme, he's the oldest in the group, and he's also a little senile, maybe. Very senile.
Which, I'd say it works very well.
Oh, definitely. And him being a senile Turaga works well in the canon because all these people, by the way, are... Yes,
but what is their purpose in the Onvermel universe?
In my universe, essentially, they are after, the whole Pango story canon got to a close. This group of people were like, you know what? All these people don't know what T.O.A look like because of Gore. There's so many new people who don't know what T.O.A are. They're like, you know what? We could just dupe these people and think that we're T.O.A. Save the village and get a little moolah out of it. They're not necessarily bad people, but very opportunistic people. And so, to get credibility, they found this really old senile Turaga. They're like, yeah, our Turaga, he says we're T.O.A. Anyway, they're T.O.A, yeah, definitely. So, they're probably
just like paying him $100 every time he says T.O.A.
I don't think the Turaga even, like I said, he's old and senile.
It's the same $100 bill.
If Pongos had dollar bills. But yeah, so that was my Classic Space. You went for a little bit more traditional in the what we were building.
Mine is just a lady Bionicle. I was in my earlier stages of building more feminine shaped Bionicles. I can't remember if I was going to be Classic Space from the beginning. It just ended up like it's very blue. I had an idea for her chest. And like, hey, this actually works for a Classic Space block. So I just ended up doing it.
But not a whole lot else there.
No,
it's pretty much, it's a Classic Space mock.
It stands out different from my Space Bionicle in the fact that it doesn't have a trans mask, so to speak.
There's not as much.
A few of others.
Well, getting trans yellow masks is kind of difficult.
I mean, there is a trans yellow cow, but that's very, very pricey these days.
I do have one, but it's not used on my Turaga. That just has a light gray mask. The only trans yellow my guy has is a Borak eye in his chest and I believe his tip of his staff has to be yellow.
That was actually the big thing when I was building mine. I was building them based on like how many space Bionicles can I use with a different trans mask. Because I used the trans blue Ruru. There's a lot of cows to choose from, but I just settled on just using the trans green for Space Police. For Blacktron, I had a trans neon green Miru.
There was options. I mean, Classic Space not a roll. That's right, homebrew. Now, Futron, you don't have any Futron, but I did. My Futron is funny because the build I have for it is probably like when you think Futron, you think, oh, happy-go-lucky, good guys, you know, kind of just boring.
They're Classic Space.
Mine's basically like a yeah, it's colors of Futron, but it's kind of more of a spiky horned, devilish, like cankled, creepy, trident wielding being. He's like certain members of this group aren't actually like nice guys in the sky. Some of these people are just like dirt bags, and he's one of them.
T.O.A pretenders.
Now this
would
character,
make very good. But hey, if Scotty can pose as T.O.A and get away with it.
Yeah, but those are also really they lived on Void New. That place was a hellhole. But my future one, there's not a lot to say about it. I haven't really. It was one of my older ones. I haven't really touched up the mock. The character.
I had almost forgotten because I thought you were going to talk about your Agori that was a different space and like.
No, that's exploring.
Yes, color schemes are so similar.
But the thing is, just about the Futron was it's early because it's just the one of the most dirty vague ones. It's just nothing to it. It's like character wise, it's very boring. Long enough, moving on to the next base theme of Blacktron 1, we get a little bit more interesting. Because we actually both, again, have Blacktron 1.
I have a total of like 3 Blacktron 1 MOCs that are Bionicles.
I technically have 2, or I know, technically have 3. Because technically the Hanatu for the podcast is an homage to Blacktron. That's why I have trans red eyes on a 12 stone who's white, yellow, and black, because to be a little Blacktron for him. But he doesn't really count, and I had another character in my verse who was just black and yellow. I gave him trans red, just be like wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Well, that's kind of how my first one was. He was very black and yellow, and he's got trans red eyes, and he's not Blacktron.
Nudge, nudge. But
the second one was a full-blown Blacktron 1 mock, and he's gone through a couple iterations. I'm still not completely pleased with him. I may have to take some pictures. I don't think there's any of all this guy. And then the third one was just basically another Blacktron Hanatu, but this one's Blacktron 1. But he's an elephant, and Ek, he's kind of a interesting character.
Wait, is he a Hanatu?
I may have said the wrong word there. He's not Hanatu.
Is he technically a purple wolf or like
no my other elephant?
A sidekick to you?
He's a sidekick to me.
He's basically the me. You're the first mate. We're just going to call him the first mate to Ek. Ek's first mate. The Rick. We're going to call him Rick Ricks. Let's say he's the Rick Ricks of the bunch.
But he's not quite as happy as Rick Ricks.
I like actually. I forgot about him, but he's actually quite good.
He's more of a Zedric kind of sidekick. The kind who likes to shoot stuff.
Now my Blacktron one, it's a couple different things put in there because it's not one of the bigger ones, but it's basically a mix. It's a ninja mixed with a native species in Bionicle that we call a Rax, which
courtesy of your elephant here. Raxes are my species that I invented. I took a Visorak and another Visorak from just some parts.
Slapped them together.
I didn't have many. Yeah, I just had a few parts. A couple of Visoraks. I built some dude, and then I later on.
Well, he was called the Sniffer-Rax
because it looked like he had a big nose.
And I think Rax was like from Visorak is why.
Perhaps, but either
way.
Visorak,
a Sniffer-Rack.
It's funny now because the Sniffer-Rax is now Ice Planet themes because I gave him orange eyes.
Yeah, he's a little Ice Planet called, but. That created a whole species in our final collection. I decided to make.
We'll have to delve into that.
And I decided to basically make a. Because one thing I also wanted to do with all these T.O.A pretenders was to have as many different type of species, like at least a lot of
that
different.
Aren't actually T.O.A, obviously.
Some of them would be able to pull off better than others. And Blacktron 1 are they're sneaky and bad guys. So I'm like, a ninja seems very fitting, especially when I get to Blacktron 2 because we'll get there. So, and actually, she's one of my I think. Ones that turned out really good on the first go.
It helps that when you're mostly black, is some flaws just get hidden.
Yeah, statics and stuff. But she also uses the KK2 like large figure visor in the chest, which just does give it a nice different aesthetic. And the fact that she has a made up head compared to a mask also makes it look just a little bit different, a little bit more unique. So moving on to Space Police 1. So Space Police 1, he's actually someone who's not part of the... He's not pretending to be a T.O.A. He was originally the first person to pretend to be a T.O.A before they found one, because he's actually a lot smaller of a guy. The way that the theme, again, because it was an earlier one, didn't affect how I built him. I just basically was like, okay, I want to make something black, blue, with some trans red. Don't have a lot of trans red to work with. And I think parts may have been a little scarce there. So I was like, you know what, I can build a little small guy, and that's fine. He's, again, made up head. He was supposed to be like the guy who they kept saying, oh yeah, he's our, what's he supposed to be? Well, that's our T.O.A. And to just be like, yeah, I'm their T.O.A. What of it? I don't know. He's not a whole lot to write home about. The one thing the reason why I think he was small, now that I remember it, because I wanted to use the trans-red Vacama disc with a Tohunga arm as his arm. So I had to scale down his size to use the Tohunga arm properly. Speaking words is difficult.
I don't have any Space Police 1 MOCs.
That's okay. Your Blacktron will kill them probably.
Yeah, I have a few Blacktron, but no Space Police 1s. I have Space Police 2, but we'll get to that.
Now, moving to Mtron, I already went out of own Mtron. However, I do have another one.
Oh, he's quite the character.
So, for those who are very well familiar with Ninjago, there was, during the one where they went into the video game, there was like that one Kai mech that also was a double model for a ship. And the mech was, for those who may know, was very Mtron colored inspired, and the sticker sheet it had an extra Mtron sticker in there, also an homage. And the robot by itself, when you don't have a figure in there, kind of looks like a character.
And since it's a Bionicle sized,
and that was Mtron. So this character, before I had this just the set there, would be like, Mtron, I'm an Mtron too. Mtron. It begins like this really whiny, annoying like tag along to Mtron. And so I decided to make a Bionicle recreation of that set.
It turned out quite well.
It's surprisingly well. It's very simple mock, in all honesty. But it didn't need to be. It was just basically trying to recreate that, and it worked pretty well. But nothing else to say there. You know, it's there. So moving on to Blacktron 2.
Because I also don't have any Mtron MOCs. I really need to fix that.
No, yeah, you really don't. Now, Blacktron 2, you have plenty, so I don't think we need to go through all of them.
No, but we'll go with
the two that started it all.
And yes, the two that started it all. One of them being T.O.A.
No. Or older than Matoran.
Oh yes, Koton. Koton was my...
He started all of this, technically.
Koton was the first Blacktron Bionicle.
He was the first, like, system theme-based, inspired Bionicle.
Well, let's not go into the old brick shelf.
No, we're not going that far. But, no, Koton, who is in your comics...
He is just a Mata Matoran in Blacktron colors, because I was making a whole bunch of Blacktron's type of different minifigs.
You had a Technic fig, you had a Microfig, you had an old fig, you had a, well, now you have a Belleville minifig, you have a Jack Stone minifig, you have a Duplo minifig, and all of them.
The list goes on and on and on, and, you know, early on I was like, hey, there's some small Bionicles, I could make a Bionicle one.
You also have a Bionicle fig now in Blacktron 2 colors as well.
Yes, but Koton was there first.
But then you made T.O.A.
Yes, T.O.A. because, well, there's a trans neon green Miro. How could I not make a Blacktron Bionicle?
I think you made T.O.A. shortly after I made Mtron, I think. Or right around that same time. Or maybe you did it before. I think
T.O.A. was earlier. He's old enough now
was he earlier than Rocco? Because you built him that same year, but I don't know who was actually first. I just know those two were kind of buddies before this whole thing became a thing.
He might be older than Rocco.
It's possible.
Yeah, like I said, this is so long in the past now that we can't even say.
Yeah, pretty much. But, you know, like I say, Transient Green Mirrors, of course you're going to make a Blacktron Bionicle.
There was no doubt about it.
He did go through a couple different iterations, though. Because wasn't he originally basically just a Mechanui build?
He did have a Mechanui body, but I think his
arms are pretty much... I think originally he was just pretty much Mechanui. I think he changed that pretty quickly to try and use
I did upgrade his arms and legs, and then I upgraded his body, and he hasn't not changed at all since.
Yeah, and then, as we said...
But he's still a pretty decent mock, I would say.
Yeah, for me, in my...
simple, but good.
In my series of space mocks, my Blacktron 2 was Captain Pango. Oh yeah, also, all these people have names. It's not, some of them I don't maybe be able to remember off the top of my head. So some of them I might use names, some of them I won't. But Pango, by the way,
he'll maybe have the names up on them.
if I feel like, if I have the energy when I'm editing this, maybe. Because I don't have pictures of everyone, I'm not going to go in that way to do it. But Pango, because the Blacktron 1 was a ninja, the Blacktron 2 was going to be a pirate.
Arr.
And he uses the transient green Scorpion Gen 2 mask, Skull Scorpion mask, which was why I ordered that specifically. And actually I have two of them, but I ordered specifically. I got two so I can use one on him and one for display. And so Pango was like...
Silly Onvermel. I just got one using a mock.
Well, what can I say?
It's my biggest Blacktron 2 box.
I tried. But no, it's like with him, I remember like I had an image. I wanted to make him look like he had like a pirate jacket on. He was going to have a hat. He was going to have a hook. He looked like he was going to wear boots.
And have like an open shirt.
Open shirt. He's got like a Blacktron 2 belt because I have a little sticker. And honestly, he's turned out like pretty much. And he was going to have a shoulder-mounted cannon. And he was going to have a parrot. Everything turned out pretty much how I was expecting. It took a little bit of work to get his legs done right, I think, for a while. But he's down to a point where it's like, you know what? You feel exactly how I envisioned you ahead of time. And the reason why I actually wanted to make him a pirate was because Ek essentially is a pirate. Technically, you could say
he's got the hook, the peg leg.
He's become more piratey, I think, they used to be.
Well, before he was kind of a mixed
Jedi, pirate, Blacktron, elephant, space, varying Time Lord or something.
And then, like, that was a minifig version. Then I made a Bionicle version of this minifig.
Yes.
And then he's kind of just growing into his own thing.
I also ended up making a Ek because now since you moved out, I wanted to have an Ek for future projects of my own. So I just built my own Ek from basically my memory, and he turned out actually really good. I mean, distinctly different than yours for like building style, but still like super recognizable as an Ek. And I like
still obviously the same character.
And they're not like it's not like I took that many creative liberties. The biggest creative liberty I took was how the ears are angled, and I added basically in his chest, because originally I just had a transient green Technic like 3x3 round wheel in his chest to emulate the B, I think. But then I was like, hold on a second. I can put a black ring around this and add 2 round black dots onto it. And it's okay, because Blacktrons have B's on their chest. But what I did, he's got a Bionicle alphabet B on his chest instead.
I'm a torn alphabet.
It was the most conveniently brilliant thing I've ever done.
I believe I gave the idea of using the tire to put around it.
I don't know if you gave me the idea. You were there when it happened, so I don't know if that was...
I take credit for it!
Yeah, I'm skeptical that you were actually the one who gave the idea, but either way, it was brilliant. And it was the best thing that's ever come out of that whole creating another Ek. But yeah, no, so both my Blacktron 2 Bionicles are both pirates, who are both like taller than everyone else. Also, Captain Pango has lore that's actually related to a character that Zach had made, so he's actually got a bit of an extensive lore. Moving on to the next space theme, we have Space Police 2. I just made a dog.
Woof woof.
I actually put a good dog, though. I think he turned out really good.
My Space Police 2 mock is kind of greebly, a little bit, color's a little messy, but there's no character to this guy.
See, the reason why I made a dog was like, okay, well, the Space Police 3 guy is going to look like a cop, so all he needs is like a hellhound or like a sniffer dog. So having a Space Police 2 guy being a sniffer dog looks fine. Yeah, the dog's not trying to pretend to be a T.O.A. It's just a dog. That's all it is.
Hey, every team has their mascot.
It's one of their pets. And I liked it. I think it turned out quite well, especially because I was able to use a fair bit of old gray on it.
Yeah, Space Base especially does not look right when you use too much new gray. Classic Space fine, because since it's more of a bluish gray,
it melds really nicely.
Melds well with the blue of Classic Space, but since Space Blaze uses
black
and red and green, the bluish doesn't work as well.
Plus, especially when you think it's more of a military, having the older gray just looks more hardened, less painty. So, not a whole lot to say there. Moving on to, I believe, Ice Planet.
Yes.
This is where we start getting to something more interesting for me, because this is my Ice Planet person was a Rockshi, who has like a mask placed on top of his head, so it looks like he's just like a hunched guy, but it's actually a Rockshi who's pretending to be a T.O.A.
I think it's pretty clever.
I think the thing is, like, I had it at a convention, and someone I showed him because I was showing him off all these, and like, yeah, you take off this mask as a Rockshi, and he's like, the person like, you know what? I didn't even realize that until you done that. Kind of looks like the guy just got a big chin because of the Rockshi head. But again, I think it was actually... It turned out really nice and smooth. I mean, Ice Planet's a beauty of a color scheme. Again, older one wasn't inspired too much by the theme of Ice Planet. I just want... The only Actually, there's like nothing besides the color scheme. He's just Arachi in Ice Planet colors with a mask strapped to his head.
Well, my Ice Planet mock was this. We already mentioned this.
The silver, the trans orange T.O.A mask was on his head, by the way.
Well,
very nice.
My Ice Planet mock was my Sniffrax that I just swapped the eye colors because he was already white and blue. I'm like, you know what? If I give him some orange eyes.
He was also sharing the eye colors with another white rack. So
yes, I had like white and dark blue, white and trans blue, white and sand blue, white and medium blue. So and they all have different color eyes. So
except
the
Sniffrax shared with the dark blue one.
No, he had the light blue eyes, I believe, the Sniffrax.
Right, yes. But either way, he
shared. Then I realized, eyes. You know, like he shared the color eyes. They all have different eyes, and if I give him orange, voila, he's Ice Planet.
Aye.
And they looks good.
And then moving on to Spyrius. Now this is one that if people have watched all the videos on the channel, saw it in my launcher video. This was the Vlocky mock that I made. That was a Spyrius Vlocky mock, and I was like, you know what? I just want to build a Vlocky, and the idea that the Vlocky were replacements for the T.O.A and Mechanui, so having a Vlocky in this T.O.A Pretender team, I thought was kind of an interesting.
Also, Spyrius had a robot.
That too. Minifig. So there's a few things, and about when I built him, I was like, you know what? I want to try making you look more like a movie Vlocky with a little bit more hunch neck, cankles in the legs, And like I said, him being a robot, because Spyrius was like the first Lego theme to have a robot minifig and had two like different large robots, just fit really well with it, I think. And also in canon, in my canon, the Vlocky basically has all the information about how T.O.A are supposed to act. Like it's the one that probably has all the okay, T.O.A do this, T.O.A are supposed to act like this. At least where they get the information from, whether or not they listen to it. Because yes, the Vlocky was hot wired and it can speak Matoran properly. A little bit of lore drop right there for you. And again, I believe you also have a Spyrius one.
I do, but he kind of just looks like a lot of my mocks because he has a Ruru and a sword.
Yeah, you have a lot of mocks that have noble Rurus and swords.
I love the noble Ruru. This is my favorite.
It helps that it has so many varieties. It has like 14 different colors of that mask. 6 T.O.A colors, dark red and silver, and then the trans. So
yep, 14.
Not including
my plan is to make some one of every use all those colors in some mock.
I'm
working at it slowly.
One thing I do like about your Spyrius mock is that he has a bit of metallic silver on his hilt, which you may think that's not very Spyrius-y, but on all the printed pieces on Spyrius, they have this like metallic silver hue to it. So I think a little bit in there. It's not bad.
I thought it was good. I have a second one of those panel pieces, but it's the same side.
Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, no, Spyrius. Oh yeah, also when I built my Spyrius, I got a chance to use the Mindstorm disc.
Yeah, with my Spyrius guy, I was trying just different things with his body and legs, and they won't really say they necessarily worked out. He definitely has weird legs.
Yeah, he's not bad, he's just not great.
He's not bad, but he's not good. You
just constantly look at him and go, something's off about this boy. Just something's off.
And also that he has no character.
Now,
it's just there.
I'll say, moving on to the next theme is the one where I'm actually probably one of the most proud I'm about.
So maybe I should go first.
Yeah, you might as well go first.
This next theme is Unitron, which in our mind basically means America.
Basically means
monorail. So I've got this greebly guy with a big gun.
Yeah, we've associated the theme of Unitrons with Americans.
Well, Unitron, United States of America.
It also goes deeper into our own Lego lore.
It was also a North America release only.
True. There's actually more things and if you think the Spyrius has the Russians, which we do,
very much.
This is working out way better, making them American than I remember. Yeah, no, you're actually one thing. My favorite thing about your guys, the way you did for the mask.
Yes, he actually has a Hero Factory
from the
helmet.
Brain Attack, I believe, where they have the visors.
You would know better than I, but yes, it has a trans neon green visor. Even though Unitron should have trans dark blue, the
silver hue on it works really good. Because again, Unitron on the printed pieces have a bit of a silver ting to it because they came out pretty much at the same time as Spyrius.
And he's full of gear parts from Bullrocks and Bullrock parts.
He has a very consistent aesthetic of 2002.
Greeble gears.
But he also used Mata heads on his for the end of his feet, which I'm amazed how those work.
At the time, I have so many of these heads, and Trog uses feet. I'm gonna see if I can actually incorporate using his feet. And yeah, definitely my favorite part about his build is his feet.
See, mine, the only thing that was taken from the Unitron theme was the name. because her name is Xenon, which was the second largest set in the theme was Space Station Xenon. I'm like, Xenon's a nice, especially for the species of being a vortex, being called Xenon, I think works rather well. And this mock, though, I wanted to make at least one, like trying to make a more female figure, and so making a vortex, which is the same species as Rudaka, well, I felt worked really well. And I wanted to use the trans blue Rurus as the bust on the build.
Bloobs.
As the bloobs, yes. And her physique body just came out so really good. Like her whole proportions are like really, really, in my opinion, like the best female build body I'm ever going to get. And it's not like they're like crazy proportions here. I would say they're actually pretty realistic, I guess, in some ways. And like the fact that it was just fun to be able to build a Bionicle that was like, like that fits in canon, but can have like nice long hair and such. And of course, I made her a bow and arrows, which was extra fun. Like honestly, like with her, there was a lot of just. I had more ideas for the character and less more so. The Unitron, I must follow the path. It was more so no, Unitron don't have enough to do. Plus, the trans blue bloobs was the reason why I decided to make the Unitron the Vortex, because I wanted to make at least one the Vortex, and the Rurus were quite good for that.
I did it first with the Rurus, but Purple Fear did it better.
Arguably still, in my opinion, the best female figure that any of us have tried to build.
I can't really disagree with that.
It's like somewhere really close, but even me, like I've tried other times, and I'm just like, no. This is the thing about trying to build a female figure as a man. How far is too far sometimes? It's like,
how big is too big?
Well, the thing is, like, when I build male Bionicles, I'm not thinking, all right, what's a good male proportion? How big do I make its crotch? No, I just build a general figure that doesn't have feminine features, and it becomes, and it's a Bionicle. I mean, some of my female Bionicles don't have feminine features either. I have plenty that don't. But I wanted to at least try one, and because Rudaka does have very feminine features as a toy, I was like, you know what? It's kind of an excuse to try it for once. I can like excuse it away, and honestly, the result was really, really good. Especially the fact that a lot of the pieces are in light gray rather than blay. Really, really love it. But like I said, very happy. And then moving on to next, Explorians, I believe, right? Explorians.
Yes,
Which again. Explorians. I think Explorians is supposed to be the right one, but I've always
pronounced Explorians.
It's wrong. I know it hurts.
Suck it up.
We're
surprised you're still even listening.
Pretending to be a T.O.A, but he's the guy who hotwired the Vlocky because he is an Agori. And I use a blue. Why is an Agori wearing a cow? I don't know. Maybe thought it looks cool. He's just a small little Agori build. He's not like the most advanced build. Like his legs are just Agori legs. His body and arms are like custom built, but he pulls off being an Explorian very well. Because I think having the two different goggles works really well with Explorers, because the sets have the blue and red dishes on them to like look over like fossil tiles. So having these two kind of big round things on his face, in that sense, works really well, because I believe I have him in the blue and red colors, if I'm correct. I don't think he has because it was the Trago who used the magnifying glasses. So
I think he still has magnifying glasses on one side.
Maybe. I don't really remember. It's a lot to remember, but again, not a whole lot to write home about him. He was just kind of a filler, and it turned out quite well.
It was just we need to build. He needs to build.
And plus, I was like, someone needs to be an Agori. Get different species in there. The more the merrier. Moving on to Roboforce, I have two.
Roboforce. There's a lot of character.
There's four between our full.
Because Roboforce had two basic color schemes: the orangey and the yellowy.
And the thing is, though, I wanted to build a Roboforce before I wanted to do any of this, where I wanted to use a cow and have like a black visor. So basically, try and make. Originally, my plan was to make the minifigs in Bionicle, where they'd have like a dark gray body and a little bit different. But instead, I went for the set colors. So my first one I created was Stalker. And he was actually one of the most popular MOCs I had on my Flickr account. And even like on VZ Power, I feel rather liking him. And he's, again, was one of the few times I defiled a expensive piece by painting in a trans orange cow's visors black. Because that visor, that mask with a black visor, emulates the minifigs from that wave extremely well because they had Transoran's helmets with black visors. And again, he just like turned out really well. I haven't updated him much. I did try to give him some like a buzzsaw and a scanning like a buzzsaw in one arm because both the oranger reddish Roboforce sets had buzzsaws, and so his name Stalker is named after one of the Roboforce sets of Robo Stalker. So I know.
Now, my trans-orange Roboforce, I thought was also named after a Robo.
Yeah, we both did.
But then we realized, no, because we thought there was a Robo Commander. It sounds like a Roboforce set, but it's not. So my character is called Commandra. And it, or she, is definitely my best Bionicle female figure.
She's definitely gone through a few iterations of trying to like smooth out like the legs.
Well, there's still some rough things, like the legs especially. I'm beginning to think that as much as I liked how they're constructed, they really need to be reworked.
Some MOCs just don't finish, but so like between the two orange ones, we both use both orange masks. I had the Cow and you had the Mask of Fire from Gen 2.
Exactly, they both have buzzsaws.
Yeah, so like they both have buzzsaws, and which was very important. I also think I purposely put Trans Orange in my guy's chest to emulate the one? I can't remember. But no, I would look at the sets and like, there's not much to go off the sets besides being robots with buzzsaws, which, okay, they're already humanoid figures, so that's going to be fine. So, give him a buzzsaw, that's fine. Now, moving into the next one with Myro, which is, he's a proper Roboforce set because he's a little Matoran in an exosuit, or in an exo-T.O.A. So he's basically a little guy in a big robot.
Which is funny because my, of this colored Roboforce is also Matoran, but he does not have an exosuit.
Give him time. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to make a Roboforce theme, which is my second favorite space theme, I was like, and I love robots, I have to at least one. I have to make one of my Roboforce guys small enough to fit in a bigger robot suit. And I think it turned out relatively. I mean, it's a little rough, but I was able to actually, despite being like a Roboforce thing, I actually have a few things that are very similar to the Exo-T.O.A. Like it's got a bark lid for the chest. It's got one hand that I believe has claws, and the other hand's got a gun. Like, it's got things that are like, okay, this is clearly an Exo-T.O.A. inspired, and that's where my Transneon Green Miro's on, is him. And when he's actually in the suit, he's actually completely covered up rather than his head, because he's a Matoran, so he can't actually sit as high in an exosuit as a T.O.A. could. So, and Myro is definitely the one who's got some of the most character, because in his character he was a Matoran that was basically prepping to be a T.O.A. his whole life. Like he was like, you know what? I'm going to do all the research. I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to be the best Matoran there is, so that when they need a new T.O.A., I'll be the first pick. And then some dipstick got basically chosen over him, and he got so sour at that he's like, you know what? Screw you all guys. I'm
just going to be a T.O.A. without being a T.O.A.
And so now he's taking advantage of poor Matoran and by basically. Well, we'll get to that eventually, how they're all doing this. But also, he just had some of the most character, and I just... His Matoran build isn't crazy, but I liked him. I do have a UFO. I did build one as well, but he's not part of the team. He's actually their villain, UFO, which is UFO.
Yes, UFO. We just, pronounced it.
UFO. UFO's actually like 1.5 feet tall, I believe, almost. Or a foot and a third. He's currently my biggest...
Good 16, 17, 18,
He's currently my biggest Bongo. He was smaller than Dentar, but I did break Dentar planning to make him bigger. So UFO's currently my biggest. Now, UFO, he is the color of the spaceship, but he does have a pilot inside of him.
And the pilot actually kind of matches the color of one of the
He's blue.
Blue.
So, because I decided to have a Throwbot. So, a person...
Or rather, what's left of a Throwbot.
Yeah, it's basically a extraterrestrial is in a giant robot suit. So technically, a UFO or unidentified flying object or alien. So having the enemy being a literal extraterrestrial, I think worked well. And yes, robots are in my Bionicle canon too. Which I could go and trust me, this goes way deeper than everyone knows. But that's the whole story for another days. But UFO was fun. He needs work, but I do like him. And then Insectoid, I just have a parrot for Pango.
I have neither UFO nor Insectoid.
Well, the parrot has bug wings
from the Insectoid set.
So it's a very much an Insectoid parrot for Pango, which is all I can really say, and it turned out pretty good. Can't really complain. And you would say, does it end there? No, it keeps going off, and then we jump to...
Because there's still more space themes.
Well, those Rope Rockers, which we already went through. But then we get to Mars Mission.
Lego Mars Mission!
Which... This one is definitely Ooh, pardon me. Well, it's definitely changed the... I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew I wanted to make him big. But MT are technically two... He's a split personality. Technically, I think the thing I officially settled on is a couple of the Cranicals survived, like, over the time. And so they have this big body where both of them pilot it. So you have this two heads. You got M and you got T, which are, I believe, Cranical Su and a Cranical Ka. And what I like about these is I use the gold Crana for this, which you may think Mars Mission doesn't have gold in their ships.
But look at their minifigs.
So and the thing is, those Cranas are inside a larger dome. So you have a couple pilots inside a big thing. And so he's just a big guy. He's got some sticker like printed parts too that really gives it the Mars Mission feel. Like he's big and tough. He's got a big gun, and I just liked the idea of having a couple Cranical because they're intelligent enough and can speak that nothing says a Cranical has to be controlling a Borok body. Like, especially now that Matanui doesn't really exist anymore, what would be the Borok doing?
I don't have a Mars Mission. I am planning to make one though. I do have an idea for how to make one. This one will be an actual T.O.A of plasma though.
Well, the colors work perfect for plasma. I mean, in the universe, MT is posing as a T.O.A plasma, so he's got a plasma gun.
So he pulls it off well.
He's got two...
Better than some.
Well, he's got two Cranicol. So Cranicol already know how to use plasma-based weapons with the Brown Boracol. Like, they're very much aware how you're supposed to look. So I don't know... Yeah, I guess it's the Borok. So the thing is, though, wait, if it's the Borok that has... the plasma power, not the Crana. No. Is it the Crana or the Borok?
The Borok has the actual power. The Crana just controls the thing.
So you're saying is the MT probably really could have found some old like power calls on like they already knew how the Borok was built. They probably just were able to figure out how to do it, and they just really
probably had some help with some of the other
guys, or maybe had some from the Bayrak Queens. We don't know what they're up to these days.
As far as we know, they never died.
I mean, I don't think they did. So MT was pretty cool. I did make a villain for that. A big kind of space alien, which parts of the design are supposed to emulate the ship because he's got like the weird things, tendrils coming out the back, and he's not. And his cockpit is kind of a black mosasaur dinosaur head. So I've been wanting to rework him because he's not perfect. He's just
what you need to do is just stick some random of those little aliens on him.
All he's just basically just green Borok eyes, like a couple of them side to side to kind of emulate that there's green aliens inside. Basically, he's just one of those things. He was the placeholder, and like I needed to finish the quota.
It's a good enough idea, but it definitely needs smoothing out.
Yeah, so like I said, but he's also my idea that UFO has a bunch of these guys as his army. So again, the aliens are UFO's army.
Well, partner, now it's time to talk about the last space theme.
Well, no, we gotta go to Space Race 3 first.
Well, darn nations.
Space Race 3 is where things get fun for me. Because
they don't exist for me. Unless, kind of my Purple Wolf is the closest.
Technically, I have 3. Well, Purple Wolf was originally the placeholder for the Brickfall for the year 2 of the bad guys, but first person, I made a cop for Space Race 3 who kind of looks like RoboCop, where he looks like a cop. Like, he fits perfectly.
This, we did defile the piece, but it's a dirt cheap piece. Just the thing is,
hockey faces, there was some that had just a visor. So I just blacked out the visor and gave him a black hockey helmet. So his head and helmet looks a lot like the minifigs heads and helmets, but he's in the color of the spaceships, and he looks like a cop. He kind of reminds you a little bit of RoboCop. If you saw him, you'd be like, I'm getting a little RoboCop vibes, and he's a cop in Space Race 3 colors. Like, what else can I say? He pulled it off perfectly, and he's also the one guy who's doing it out of the good of his heart. The others haven't told him that they're all duping them.
His name is also funny, because when you shorten Space Race 3 the SP3, but if you use the Roman numeral 3, like SPIII,
they kind of look like SPILL, so he's called Spill, which kind of looks like SPIII, which is Space Police 3.
Yeah, his name's Spill.
So, I was really proud of that one. But now, the bad guy in Space Police 3, Momona.
Momona.
The Skokti biker. The Skokti's in the color of the first wave bad guys with the black, red, smoke, and such. But his vehicle's in the color of the Brickfaller's ship, so he kind of covers both of it. And Momona is not actually part of the T.O.A. However, the T.O.A. pay him to attack villages, and then they save the village. I mean, Momona's not a great guy either, but he gets paid, so he's kind of chill and happy.
He gets paid to,
also,
terrorize
a lot of these
villains?
Names might sound weird, but a lot of these names I just translated the Maori language using Google Translate.
And maybe chopped up the word a bit. Maybe.
Momona, I don't remember what it was.
I think it
Might
was
have been
Mother.
Oh right, he had a gas mask, which was like
In Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Where's my mom? Or Are You My Mommy? Which they all have the gas masks, right? That's why I call Momona. But the thing is, his bike has like flames coming out of it, like all the Space Police 3 sets did. And I know. Oh yeah, he's also got a yellow briefcase because a lot of Space Police 3 sets had like yellow safes that the criminals were stealing. So I gave him a yellow like security case. So I was trying to emulate the theme a little bit more there. And of course, he's got like a spiky like biker belt too. I tried to he's got like a bandana scarf. I think he pulled off the look of a biker really well.
him. He fits with the Space Police 3 aesthetics.
I think
really
the Space Police 3 are also aliens.
It looks like that's a Space Police 3 Bionicle right there.
I love it. I love it so much. But now we do finally get to the final theme of Galaxy Squad, partner.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Now, I'll admit this. Galaxy Squad came in a very interesting way because I didn't have a huge plan for Galaxy Squad. However, before I built them, because it was like one of the last ones I had to do, I had a friend from a convention who I was talking with for a while, and they were saying that I should make a Bionicle cowboy. And so I was like, well, I haven't done this yet, so let's make my Galaxy Squad guy a cowboy. So the first one I made was... Now, Galaxy Squad has 4 different colors for the good guys, though.
Yep.
So the first guy was the green one. So I used the trick that I found that some people have used where you use a Ben 10 piece, flip it up inside out, and you have a cowboy hat. And all these guys, pretty much all of them have a speckly...
He's the tall, skinny cat.
They pretty much all use the speckly Vlocky, which is about 3 out of 4 of them. The last one actually uses a clear cow, but she's their sister. So basically, 2 of them have cowboy hats and are very cowboy-y.
We got the tall cowboy.
Well, the one guy, he's got like the boots. He kind of looks like he's got like the pants of a cowboy. He's got like his gun hooked by the waist.
We call him Slim because he's slim.
And then their steed. I basically took the bad guy's color scheme and made like a weird bug-like 2-legged ostrich thing. I don't know what it is, but it's there.
It's some bug horse ostrich thing.
And so I basically just 2 of them are quite cowboy-y, 2 of them aren't as cowboy, but they're all very Galaxy Squad, being like heavier, bigger guns. Because Galaxy Squad was very much known for having a lot of artillery.
I have 2. They are not cowboys, unfortunately.
One's Fakanuba.
Yes, one guy didn't intentionally. He just looked, when I built this guy first a long time ago, he looked like a fat Fakanuba.
And then you added a bit of red, I think, to him.
Yes, and then later on I was like, oh, I could just make him Galaxy Squad if I add some red. Now he also has like a weird hat, too. Because there's like a Borak lid in front of his face, because I think he just has a silver Vlocky.
Right, yeah, because I think you had to steal his other one. Or I got it off
I think I
you or
sold
something.
it, maybe.
I might have gone it off you, because I have 3 of them. Actually, I think
I have sold a couple.
I think I own 4. I have 3 on those MOCs, and I have 1 for display. Because like the one from the Usanui is on display.
That's great, because you don't actually need it in the set. You just stick it on display and
well,
boom,
exactly.
it's easy.
Exactly. So, but... yeah, like about half of these, I would say the model is actually inspired by the theme, while others were more so...
It's the color scheme.
Yeah, the color scheme. Like with this one, I was given the idea of like, make a cowboy, so I did. So some of these were given the other ways, and it was a fun project, honestly, to do. And some of these are I would say some of my better MOCs. I mean, some of them are a little bit getting to age, like the future one, but...
Subabite are definitely my better MOCs, as showcased in our little BrickCon thing.
Yes, if you looked at our BrickCon and Home video where we showcase some MOCs, you'll see at least some of them. I think I had like about 4.
If you're familiar with the space themes, yeah, so you see them. Yep.
Well, you see my Ek, you see Momona, you see Xenon. So that's like you see at least an Emtron. So you see like 4
you see
of them.
my Ek and Commandra, and I think there's another Blacktron involved.
Yeah, the big Blacktron guy.
But I think that was all the space bundles that I had.
So, but no, it was definitely really, really fun, and those were easier to build because I had an idea what I was going into. Sometimes I build and I just go, what do I do? But once I get that spark of like, I now know what I want to do, boom, comes together. But we're at the 50-minute mark pretty much, so we've gone through all of it.
We're surprised you've lasted this long.
There's probably only 2 people who did. Well, maybe 3. Maybe 4.
Hi, random 3rd and 4th person.
Hello! But yeah, no. This was fun. This has been fun for me. I don't know if it's been fun for you guys, but I've been your host, Onvermel. This has been the T.O.A. Podcast, and we be retiring from the night.